Hey everybody, welcome back to Welch's Math class. I hope you had a good time doing those problems back over yonder on perimeter. We are still in A3 to A5. This time we're going to look back at some of those figures we talked about last time. Well, let's see, we talked about a parallelogram, we talked about a rectangle, we talked about a square, we talked about a triangle, and we talked about a trapezoid. We're going to look back at those figures and we're going to talk about the area for those figures this time. We're going to talk about the area. Okay, so when we talk about area, remember with perimeter, it was the distance around the figure. With an area, we're going to be talking about the space inside a flat or plane, is another word for it, figure. We're going to be talking about the space inside a flat or plane figure. Now, generally speaking, you remember back in perimeter, we did a lot of adding to come up with perimeters. With areas, typically speaking, it's going to be more formula-based, and the formulas typically are going to have much more multiplication in them. So let's just look at the formulas and work out a few area problems with some particular figures. Let's start out with the parallelogram. Okay, so let's draw us a parallelogram again. Here's our parallelogram. Well, that's sort of a parallelogram. All right, so a parallelogram here, top, bottom parallel, left, right parallel. Now, we're also, on our parallelogram, going to come over here and do this, okay? Now, this piece right here, this bottom piece, it doesn't have to be the bottom. That's just the way we have it oriented on the board. But we'll call that the base, and notice that it's equal to the top. And then this dotted line in the middle that forms a 90-degree angle between the base and the bottom and the base on the top is the height. That's the height. So the formula for the parallelogram is area equals base time height. Base time height. All right, so let's suppose on our parallelogram we have a base of 9 inches and we have a height of 6 inches. So the area of this parallelogram is going to be its base, 9 inches, times its height of 6 inches. Okay? And so what we're going to get here is an area of 54. Now I want you to notice something here that's really, really important. We are multiplying here not just these numbers, 9 times 6, but we're also multiplying the unit, inch times inch. And so what we end up with is inch to the second power. And you'll notice, guys, that anytime we're dealing with area, whatever the unit is, it's going to be listed in the second power, or squared. We might say that the area of this particular parallelogram is 54 square inches. 54 square inches. But again, the formula is base time height. That's the main thing I wanted you to get in this particular example. Okay, so we've got a parallelogram. Let's go on and let's catch hold this time of a rectangle. Okay, so we've got a rectangle. And so for a rectangle, what we're going to be taking a look at is we're going to be having the length of the rectangle times the width of the rectangle. And so what we've got here is the area of a rectangle equals length, L, times width. Length times width. All right? And so right here, let's suppose our rectangle has a width of, or has a length of, let's make this 12 feet. And it has a width, let's say it's got a width of, I'm going to call that 7 feet. Okay, so our area here is the length of 12 feet times the width of 7 feet. Anybody know what 12 times 7 is? Oh, you got it. Cool, good. 12 times 7, I believe, if you're right, is 84. So we've got 84, and then feet times feet is square feet, feet to the second power. Okay, so the space inside here would be 84 square feet. 84 square feet. I want to do a quick review with you right here for a second. We've got these two down. Let me ask you this. Going back, let's suppose you've got this. Remember that? And we've got this, and we've got this, and I tell you that this is 6 inches, and I tell you that right here this is 5 inches, and I tell you right here that this is 4 inches, and I ask you to find the area. The area. Okay, work that problem, pause the video, work the problem, and then come back to me. Hey, welcome back. It's so good to see you back. This is this is a quick review for you guys to have done. Quick look here. This is the area. This is a parallelogram. Remember, this is a parallelogram. Okay, so the area of the parallelogram is its base times its height. Okay, now this time, remember, the base does not have to be on the bottom. It could be here or here. The base is going to be where the dotted line, the 90-degree angle, runs between the two parallel lines. And so the base could be either one of these parallel lines. So our base here is 6 inches. Our height is 4 inches. Okay, and so some of you may ask, well, Welch, what's that 5 inches got to do with it? Nothing. Sorry. It's kind of one to throw you off there a little bit. I suppose if you were looking for the perimeter, the 5 inches would be really important. The perimeter here would be 6 plus 5 plus 6 plus 5. That'd be perimeter. We're not looking for perimeter. We're looking for area. So it's base times height. So what is it? Hopefully you got 24 square inches. 24 square inches. Okay, cool. Good. Good review. Let's move on. Let's move on. Let's talk about now the area of golly, y'all, this is not good. It's so hard to begin to draw one of these things. Every time I try to fix something, it makes it a little worse, I think. This is my version of a square. That's my version of a square. You say, hey, you should be able to draw this good. Welch, you are a prime example of a square yourself. Well, anyway, a square. A square. Have you stopped laughing yet? Okay. All right, so a square. We got a square right here. And with this square, we want to be able to find its area. So the formula for the area of a square, area equals side times side. Because we know all 4 sides on a square are equal to one another. So if I tell you that this side of this square right here is, let's make it 8 yards. Okay, and every side on that square is going to be 8 yards. And so the area of that square is 8 yards times another 8 yards. Of course, we know that that equals 64 yards to the second power. Square yards, 64 square yards. Okay, you good? That's a square. Let's move on up to something a little more interesting. And let's talk about the area of a triangle. Triangle. Okay, so here's my triangle. Okay? Now, I'd like you to notice something about a triangle. I'm just going to put it over to the side, just show you real quick. What I'd like you to notice about a triangle, if I have a triangle, okay, right there, and let's just say I was to do this and this. What I hope you notice about a triangle is like half of a parallelogram. Now, this whole thing here, you see, is a parallelogram. If I was to take the parallelogram, cut it in half, I've got a triangle. That's what a triangle is. It's half of a parallelogram. So the formula for the area of a triangle seems to make sense to me, that the formula for the area of a triangle would be base base, okay, times height, but cut in half, divided by 2. Base times height divided by 2. That's the area of a triangle. Let's take a look at our triangle. Let's say our base right here on our triangle is 7. Let's make it 7 inches. Oh, I put that in a bad spot. Okay, that's okay. We're going to do this and this. We'll move that 7. Let's move that 7 over here. 7 inches. And now let's say the height, dotted line, 90-degree angle right here. Let's say the height is 9 inches. Okay, 9 inches. So what's the area of my triangle? Well, the area of that triangle is going to be 9. Well, let's do the base first. Let's stay right in the order of the formula. Base, 7 inches times 9 inches divided by 2. Divided by 2. Okay? So the area then is 63 square inches divided by 2. Pull out your handy dandy calculator and do 63 divided by 2 for me. Did you get it yet? I hope so. Maybe you don't need your calculator. You can just work that out right in your seat, in your noggin. You can get that figured out. I think it's 31.5 square inches. So to find the area of a triangle, I'm going to do its base times its height and then divide it by 2, because it's really just half of a parallelogram, right? There we go. Good. Good. All right, triangle. And now we're going to hit the last one, the most interesting of them all. We're going to talk about the area of a, what do you call that thing? Oh, that's right, a trapezoid. T-R-A-P-E-Z-O-I-D. Where in the world did they get that name? Trapezoid. All right, sounds like something from a science fiction movie. But we're going to talk about the area of a trapezoid. All right, so remember, a trapezoid looks like this. Here, here, here. Parallel on the top and bottom. 90-degree angle here. Okay? Now, the top and the bottom of the trapezoid are both bases. The thing is, they're different lengths. We could call this one base 1. We call this top one base 2. Base of 1 and base of 2. And, of course, this is the height, like we're always used to. So let's get a formula for the area of our trapezoid. Area of the trapezoid is going to be base 1 plus base 2 divided by 2. So if you were to take the average of the top and the bottom, if you were to add the top and the bottom together, or base 1 and base 2 together, divided by 2, you're going to have a piece of the formula. But then you're going to take that answer and multiply it times the height. Okay, a little bit more tricky formula, but base 1 plus base 2 divided by 2 multiplied by the height is going to give me that area of that trapezoid. So let's say base 1 here. What do you think that looks like? Gosh, I think that looks like it's probably about, I'm going to say that's about 9 feet. And if that's 9 feet, that's probably about 6 feet. And if that's 6 feet, that's probably about 5 feet. Okay? So let's take a look here and see what we got. All right, so we got base 1 and base 2 added. So we got 6. Oh, no, base 1 is 9, right? 9 plus 6. 9 plus 6 divided by 2. Divided by 2. All right? 9 plus 6 divided by 2. And then that's going to be times the height of 5. Woo, my goodness. Let's see what we can do with that. 9 plus 6. What's 9 plus 6? That's 15. Okay, I'm going to pull over here a little bit. We're just working our way. 15 over 2 times 5. All right, so that's going to be 15 divided by 2, 7.5 times 5. 7.5 times 5. Have you done that in your calculator yet? 7.5 times 5 is where I'm going here, what I'm looking for. I think That's going to end up being 37.5, and we're talking about feet to the second power. 37.5 square feet is going to be my answer there. Okay, so that is the area of a trapezoid. Guys, I think that's all I want to talk about right now. We are running short on this time video. Next time we'll come back together and talk a little bit more in this chapter, and we'll look at the area of a composite figure. Y'all go have some fun.